They asked me that question. One of the presidents of a big country stood up and said, well, sir, if we don't pay and we're attacked by Russia, will you protect us? I said, you didn't pay? You're delinquent? He said, yes, let's say that happened. No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want. You got to pay. You got to pay your bills.
So I'm going to focus just briefly on perhaps the least important part of that absolutely insane quote from Donald Trump at a speech over the weekend. It is that you gotta pay your bills. As you know, Donald Trump does not pay his bills. Literally hundreds of lawsuits against Donald Trump over the years over him not paying his bills in full. And of course, this isn't just like, when he was a wild, wacky, immature 55-year-old, he still doesn't pay his bills. So I would encourage them to do whatever they've got to do to get that money from Donald Trump, I suppose. But anyway, let's set aside the bills and focus on the substance here at a time when the nation is really focused on the state of mind of those men who might be president. And really focusing on one that we'll be talking about later on the show. Donald Trump just said in a speech that if the countries of NATO don't give him the money he thinks he's owed, and we'll talk about how utterly insane all of that is, then he would not only allow Russia to invade and conquer them, our allies, he would encourage them to do it. And of course, this isn't some sort of hypothetical. We now live in a time in which Russia just routinely invades countries, not invaded a country anymore. Now, just sometimes, every few years it invades a country. It does that, despite it being obviously illegal, fundamentally immoral, horrible for their own people, and devastating on especially the civilian populations of the countries that they invade. That's just a thing they do. Donald Trump knows that. And what do you know? He said something crazy in foreign policy, but not randomly crazy. He has once again said something that directly plays into the political aspirations of Vladimir Putin. And says effectively, if you want to take a country, just take a country. We don't care. We're not going to do anything about it. Francesca, what do you think?
I mean, this is the militarism of the right? It is completely mask off when it comes to trying to protect any sovereignty or victimized people or whatnot, whether or not you believe the premise for whenever the US gets involved. And look at Iraq, Afghanistan, look at our support for the ongoing massacre in Gaza right now. But maybe Ukraine stands out in terms of an aggressed population, Russia trying to basically recolonize Ukraine, going all the way to Kyiv, trying to conquer Kyiv. And so what happens when you have Donald Trump? They always say, what if Donald Trump were in power during this? Donald Trump would have done nothing. Ukraine would have fallen, and that's fine. Yeah, because you can invade your neighbors, you can invade anyone you want. They weren't necessarily part of NATO, so whatever, have at it. What he's saying is, even if you are part of NATO, nah, I don't. I'll throw you to the wolves, to Russia. And again, this is sort of the mindset of a bunch of strong men running their various countries, which is you can invade whomever you want. I won't get involved so long as it's not my country. But eventually, it is your country. Eventually, you get into massive World War 1984 style aggression. But anyway, I digress.
Well, I mean, I was thinking, my mind was going to 1984 too. But at least in 1984, the three major world powers pretended to oppose each other. Donald Trump isn't even doing that. He's just like, oh no, I've got some buddies, they're authoritarians and they can do whatever they want. And some of them want to invade other countries, but why the hell would I care about that? It's only filled with things that you consider people, but I don't care about. And that's the world order. That's what it would be.